So what we got is a 2004 Cadillac Escalade. As the title says, got my dream truck back. Obviously it looks a little bit different than the thumbnail because it's been quite a few years since I've actually had it in my possession. But again, 04 Cadillac Escalade, pearl white. She's a little dirty. It is the middle of Iowa. Haven't had a whole lot of time to do much with it. But here it is. So not in too terrible a shape. I mean, for the year, it does have some rust starting. Sucks, but it's to be expected for, you know, what it is. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, if I'm just going to clean it up and leave it or fix it the right way, get some new quarters for it. But it's got some dings, some dents, some bruises. Sorry if it's a little windy. It's kind of cold here in Iowa at the moment. But yeah, this one has the, I guess, less desirable middle bench seat. Most of the ones that I've seen of this generation have the middle row buckets, so this is actually a true 8-seater truck, plus just obnoxious amount of cargo space, which, as you can see, I'm using it for umpteen parts for the other projects and builds that I got going on. But yeah, like I said, middle row bench, pretty nice. I say I used to be a big bucket fan, but the last few trucks I've had benches. It's nice to be able to slide stuff in across like this, whereas before all that'd fall down. It's kind of a pain in the butt. No rear entertainment, kind of sucks. It does have the sunroof. Yeah, I mean, there's little knick-knacky things, you know. That light's missing. The handle's supposed to be chrome. It's, you know, rubbed out. It's black now. But, you know, overall, it's relatively decent. Like I said, we got some rust starting. It sucks. But it is a, 18-year-old truck, 19-year-old truck. But, you know, again, little piddly stuff that I think we'll be able to fix and get cleaned up. The hop inside where it's a little warmer. But yeah, you know, this trim piece is gone. I've got that. I don't know if I'm going to replace the panel because it is rubbed kind of down smooth here. Obviously, you'll see in a minute how many miles they're on it. But got a new seat cushion coming, new seat leather, heating element. I think I'm going to do the back as well. I don't know. You got to figure out what's worth doing, what's not worth doing. But got some chow for the wife. Just figured I'd make a quick video. Got all the documents from the burn truck. If you haven't watched that video, go over and take a look at that. Just got done getting that all registered. But yeah, 04 Cadillac Escalade with, let's see, 289,687 miles. This truck's been running for about an hour. Went and picked it up from work and drove it here. Decent oil pressure. I say voltage is good, temperature is good. Everything's pretty good on it. Does have a check engine light. For evap, the charcoal canister is just full of mud. I already did the vent valve, didn't fix it. So I'm going to do the charcoal canister. Normally those go bad on these, so get that done. And then it's got knock sensor codes. It's had knock sensors done at one point when my brother owned it, and it didn't take care of the codes. I don't know if we got faulty parts or if this thing just has so many miles, it just, you know, it has too much of a knock that it's going to throw a code. But we'll see. We'll take it back apart. I'll put in new GM parts and try it again. But truck is very nice. Again, for the year. I know a lot of you are looking at it and going, yeah, it's got, you know, paint missing and paint missing, yada, yada, yada. You got to keep in mind this truck is 300,000 miles and, you know, knocking on 20-year-old door. So it's about as good as it's going to get. We'll spend some time cleaning it up, fixing a few things. I do want to get a new stereo. I'm actually going to take the stereo out of the white Denali. I'm not sure if that's been seen on the channel or not, but that got sold to my brother, and I took this back in from him on trade. So I'm going to put this stereo in the Denali because I'm not a big fan of it. I'm going to take the stereo out of the Denali because I bought it for a reason. I like it. So it's just been too cold, and I just told him, you know what, don't even worry about it. Drive the truck, and we'll swap this summer when it's a little bit nicer out. So a little backstory on the truck. Obviously, as I kept hinting, that I finally got it back, and I mentioned a couple times that my brother had it. So I had bought this It's been 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago I bought this truck. So it wasn't terribly old, but obviously it was starting to get a little older. And I'd had a first-gen Escalade, loved it, kind of got me in the door. I really wanted one of these, but I couldn't find one, for affordable, because they were still, the kind of the current body style, and they're nice, expensive vehicles. So I found this one at a local dealership. The price was just crazy good, and I was like, all right, what's going on? I went, I looked at it. The story goes that it was a theft recovery, and they had stolen all the seats out of it. So I looked it over. Everything looked good. I didn't see any signs of any kind of damage or anything. I ran the Carfax. Carfax did say that it was thefted out of Florida, and it was shortly after it was new. It had like 24,000 miles. And when I had went and looked at it, when I bought it the first time, it had 180,000 miles, which was obviously high for what it was. So felt fine, bought it. I drove it around, for about a year and a half. I put about 20,000 miles on it. It was like 198. And at that time, I had just opened my own dealership. I had my dealer's license, and I didn't want to have all this capital wrapped up in this truck. So I put it on the lot and sold it, and I did something dumb. I ended up selling it on contract. It was the second vehicle I sold on contract. The guy put a pretty decent down payment down. We'd come to terms on how much he's going to pay every month, and that's how it was. So put the down payment down. I got 2 payments out of him. Disappeared. Never saw him again. He didn't live in the area. He actually lived down in Quad City, so he's about a 4-hour drive for me. That should have been my first red flag. But he seemed like a nice guy. When he came and looked at it, he actually came twice. He looked at it once, then he came the second time with cash. We got everything done. And I did do the right thing. I put a lien on it. I wasn't dumb enough not to do that. But the truck was disappeared. He wouldn't answer his phone, wouldn't answer certified letters. I did drive down to the Quad Cities to the address that was listed, and either he wasn't there or something had changed, because the truck wasn't there and it kind of looked abandoned. So I just wrote it off. I think he owed like $3,000, $3,800. I'm like, you know what? It's the price of doing business. I'll write it off as a loss. It is what it is. Fast forward, it's always had been in my mind. I had the title at home. I had a spare key for it at home. And I'm like, God, where's that truck? So I tried to have somebody look for it. I actually had talked to a couple investigators. They couldn't find it. And one day out of the blue, I had received a letter from an attorney in Georgia that somebody had this truck, or has this truck, and they want me to release the lien on it. And I went, oh, no, that's not going to happen. So I contacted the attorney and said, hey, what's going on with this? What information do you have? They ended up getting me in contact with a shop down in Georgia. I guess the gentleman I sold the truck to had it towed into the shop because it wasn't running, wasn't driving. Had all this work done. I'll see if I can put a link somewhere here, or a picture. It just a crazy amount of work. I think like $5-6 grand worth of work. And so I talked to the shop owner. I'm like, hey, what's going on with this truck? Does it run? Does it drive? He's like, yes. New transmission, new brakes, tune-up, AC compressor. The works. They pretty much went through the truck and made it back to a good running and driving vehicle. And then the guy ghosted them. So they wanted to get their money back. So they were just applying for a title, and then found out I had a lien on it. So they wanted me to release the lien. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And obviously, I was like, you're going to give me the truck, and they're like, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to take all our parts off. I get it. So we're kind of in an in-between standoff. So I talked to him a little bit. I'm like, hey, here's the deal. We're both going to get burned on it. Let's try and make the best out of a bad situation. I will pay you for what you have in parts. I'm not going to pay for labor. So I believe that was about $2,500. All right, whatever. Then at least I know it's got new tranny. It's got new brakes. So he agreed on that. I actually flew down to Atlanta. One-way ticket. Just brought a carry-on. Saw the truck. Sure enough, it fired right up. And I drove it around the block quick. I gave him the money. I got the truck and keys. And I drove this from Atlanta back to Des Moines in one shot. I'm not sure how far that was. I'll have to link it, throw a picture here. But it was jaunt. But it made the whole trip from Atlanta back to Des Moines, no problems. And it was a fun trip. It brought back a lot of memories getting back into this truck. I was sad when I sold it, when I had the dealership, but I wanted to do it for, obviously making things better. See how that went. So got it back in Iowa, drove it around for a little bit. And I'm like, well, obviously I want to get my money back out of this. And now I have $2,500 more plus the original amount he owed me. So I'm into this thing over $5 grand. Brother saw it. He loved the truck. He was, at the time, driving around a beat-up Avalanche. Passenger door didn't even open. So I was like, you know what? Let's sell the Avalanche, put that as a down payment, and you can just make me payments on the Escalade. So that's ultimately what happened. He has been driving this Escalade for the last 3.5 years, and it's been trouble-free for him. I mean, it needs some loving, and I'm aware of that, but it started every time. It's got him where he's needed to go. And when I got it back from the shop in Atlanta, they had replaced the cluster because they said there's something wrong with it, but the old cluster was still in the truck, and I think they were trying to pull a fast one because the cluster in the truck at the time was like 110,000. I'm like, I know for a fact that's wrong. But when you look at the RO, when I think I'll circle it here, it shows what the mileage was when the truck came into the shop. So I put the other cluster in. It's the cluster that's currently in the truck now, and everything worked. I don't know. They were trying to pull a fast one and sell it with less miles. So I put the original cluster back in it. At the time, it was like 240, 245. Like I said, it's got 290 now. So he's put about 45,000 miles on it in the time that he's owned it. The guy that had it, when I sold it on the contract, put, 50,000 on it. So, the truck had a lot of miles before it even got into my life. It's got a ton of miles on it now. And it's at the point where it's so old and so many miles, it's really not worth a whole lot. And every time I go to get this thing registered, because it was a theft, and it's branded on it's not branded on the title, but I guess anytime you register it, it flags at the DOT. And this most recent time, the DOT actually wanted to physically come see the truck. So they came out, they took pictures of the VIN, they took pictures of the odometer, and it is registered back in my name again finally, and this will be the last time it gets registered again, because either it's going to get to the point where it just gets scrapped, or I'll just keep it forever and keep fixing all the little knick-knacky stuff wrong with it, because it doesn't make sense to let it go. So, little backstory. I know, big, long, drawn on. I'm sorry for that. You're gonna start seeing this on the channel a little more. Either it's gonna be towing some stuff around for me, I'm gonna be driving it around, running errands, or we're gonna be fixing some things and bringing it back to its former glory. So, as you saw, it's got the 18s off the newer Escalade on now. Those were actually put on by me. I think I'm either going to put the 22s on that are on the first gen currently, or I don't know. I mean, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. It needs tires desperately. The tires that are on it are like 8 years old, dry rotted really bad. So it's going to get some new wheel and tire combo. It's going to be getting a stereo in it. I do want to get new component speakers in all the doors, some kind of sub in the back. I want to kind of bring it back to the days when I had it, and have a crazy system, big fancy chrome wheels. I don't need these black Rockstars and XD and whatever the hell they got going on right now. This truck needs chrome. So we're going to do that, and it'll be a fun journey. So I want to hit 300,000 in it. We're going to keep driving it. It hasn't given me any reasons why it won't go. Like I said, the training's replaced. That's one thing that I generally am concerned on these. We're going to do a service on it because it's been 50,000 miles. Drop the pan, do a new filter. We'll do a service on all the rest of the differentials, transfer case, everything. And it needs, it needs stuff. It needs front hubs. The front end's loose. I'm probably going to end up doing everything. Idler, Pitman, tie rods, just do it all. I'm sure all the bushings are dry rotted and crap. Last time I had it in the air, training cooler lines were leaking, engine cooler lines were leaking. I mean, everything's leaking on it, and it's to be expected how many miles are on it. So I appreciate it if you made it this far in the video. I greatly appreciate it. Give the video a like. Give me a subscribe if you want to see more of the Escalade or more of anything else that I've got. And thank you for watching.